Now, as you know, if you have lived in the city a long time, there are lots of if you play the guitar, for example, there are lots of places where you can go and they have open mic nights and jam nights and things like that. Not so many, really, for the classical musician.
Not so many, you're right.
However, this has all changed now as Simon Capet has introduced his classical socials, which happen Sunday evenings. And basically, it's you have to know how to sight read. But you drop in and you just play pieces, and it's really, really cool. And Simon joins us in the studio right now. Good morning.
Morning, Simon.
Good morning, Gene. Good morning, Mike. Lovely to be here.
This is such a great idea.
It sure is.
Well, I thought it was a good idea, so I thought we'd try it out on Toronto and see what happens. And as you said, Mike, it's typical for jazz musicians and indie rockers to be able to get together and jam. And the nature, I think, the nature of the music allows for that in people's minds.
Sure.
As you can probably tell by the accent, I'm a Canadian, but I was born elsewhere. And I come from a tradition where sight reading is the norm. The English, as Gene will probably attest, English orchestras are renowned for their sight reading.
Absolutely.
I've worked here long enough, and I have know enough musicians here to know that sight reading is pretty good here as well. So I thought, why not get some classical musicians together with a stack of music and drink some Guinness and play some Beethoven and Mozart in an environment that people aren't expecting it.
Right, and this all takes place at Finn McCool's, right?
It takes place at the Finn McCool's at University in Adelaide. Greg Garson is the owner of that particular pub, and his charity of choice is the Canadian Opera Children's Chorus.
Lovely.
So he raises a whole bunch of money a year for that charity, and he and I met at an event, and I told him about why I'm in Toronto, what I was planning to do, and he said, well, I have a space, and you have ideas. Why don't we try to do something there? So we started 3 weeks ago, and for the first classical social, 20 people came out. We had a string quintet, actually we had more than that. We played 8 or 9 string players. We had 6 or 7 wind players, myself on keyboard. And we played from 8 p.m. till midnight, pretty much non-stop. For people who are wondering, well, surely people are talking through the music, and it's absolutely they're talking through the music. But what's nice is people sort of the level of the music is at such a level that you can chat. The musicians don't mind that you're chatting. There was some absolutely fabulous sight reading, some really great music making, and some truly wonderful train wrecks.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. That's great. You welcome that kind of thing.
So, Simon, are you conducting it? Are you directing everything?
I'm playing the piano.
Right.
When you need a piano. And yes, we've done everything from, we've played just piano trios through to string orchestra music and Mozart symphonies. That we had a Mozart birthday bash on the 27th for his 257th birthday, including Nipples of Venus, if you remember the Mozart Amadeus movie. Remember, Constanza gets drunk on Nipples of Venus. These are the confection. Well, my girlfriend Amy made an authentic 18th century Nipples of Venus recipe.
Really?
So it's, we shake it up a bit in all sorts of ways. So yes, I mean, we're getting people coming out who've never experienced classical music. We have people who have and wanted a different experience. We've had people who've just walked into the pub for a meal or a drink, sat at the other side of the room and worked their way slowly closer to the experience, because there's such a wonderful energy in the room when we play.
The reactions of the musicians must be tremendous, because they're given a place to play, and there's no formality to it. Well, it must be so much fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I think it's particularly a lot of fun because it's almost as if I've taken the cork out of a champagne bottle. Unfortunately, the world of classical music has become very restricted. Students go through an education process that is very austere, and there's a lot of emphasis placed upon playing the right notes all of the time, and this sort of perfectionism, which really comes out of the age of recording in the 60s and 70s, when everything was recorded analog, not digitally, and orchestras had to get things right in 1 or 2 takes. We don't live in that world anymore. And that aside, people don't mind mistakes. What we want is exciting performances. I mean, and as you know, a great jazz musician won't be held back by the occasional splodge here or there. So the musicians are coming out, they're going, I'm not sure what this is going to be like. And then when they experience it, as I say, it's like taking the bottle out of a cork out of a champagne bottle. The effervescence in the room is very attractive.
Now, the people that are there, that are hearing, does anybody want to tip you? Does anybody want to give you a subway token home?
That hasn't happened yet. The financial element of it is really not a concern. I mean, the musicians are coming out for the love of the music, and Greg has offered the space for free, so we're very lucky that we can experiment with this. By the way, I should mention there is no cover charge, so that's something that people often ask. No, it's all very much...
What is important too, though, is,
although tips,
you know, the reason why there are such great sight readers in England and such great sight readers in Canada as well is because they've gone through that university process to read notes correctly and to learn the right thing so that they can take off from there.
Absolutely, but we don't have enough opportunities to do that. I mean, I'm not diminishing the quality of the education. We just could have a little bit more fun at the same time.
We could indeed.
Have you had anyone come in yet who wants to improvise?
Not yet, but we have people within the group of musicians that come out who are jazz trained. I mean, there's a wonderful double bass player, Jordan O'Connor, who comes and is playing the classical music. And he and I have talked about other things that we might do. So we might get some improvisation happening. But really, the main point of this is to explore repertoire that is sitting at the U of T library. I mean, it's remarkable what I've brought out of that. It's never been opened. The spines have never been broken. Really? So this coming Sunday on the 10th, of course, it's Chinese New Year.
Yes.
So we don't have a theme every year, but every time. But I thought, well, would it be fun this year because we're going into the year of the snake. I'm looking at composers who are serpentine by birth. So Brahms, for example, and Mendelssohn were born in snake years. So I'm going and picking out repertoire from William Alwyn, Lou Harris, Andre Previn, all of whom were born in snake years. So that's going to be my theme for the forthcoming classical social. But the aim is a wide range of musics that we explore.
How many musicians do you... Okay, say for the last Sunday, how many musicians did you get out?
33, I think we had come out. So a wide range.
What fun.
And so now we're starting an hour earlier.
I was going to say, because if you have that many musicians, everybody wants to play.
They're all keen to play, and that's why I bring things from 3 to small orchestral works. And there's a lot of repertoire that we could be exploring in that area too. I mean, particularly from the early 20th century and by French composers. The French, I'm talking about at the time of Darius Milhaud and Poulenc. They love to explore the individual qualities of a single instrument in collaboration with others. So they wrote lots of chamber works for 10, 12, 13, where you've got a string quintet and then single winds. So that kind of repertoire, again, perfect to bring out for classical socials.
You should get up there and sing. Have you had any singers?
Not yet, but I've got some plans, including, because we have orchestrators and arrangers and composers amongst the mix, I thought it would be fun to have a leader project where singers could say, I've got some Schumann, I've got some Schubert, Debussy, what have you, and we could hand out the leader and have it orchestrated for a small ensemble in imaginative ways, and then invite...
It's a lovely idea.
Come in a couple of weeks, we'll have an orchestration of your Schubert.
It'd be nice for students and for young students who are singers to come out and have an audience and to learn that experience.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's a lot of repertoire we can look at, and then there's a lot of ignored repertoire, and I'm hoping at some stage maybe we'll have a sing-through an obscure one-act Puccini opera.
It's such a great idea.
Here's another question I want to ask you. Do you ever have anyone in the audience shouting out requests?
Not yet, but I mean, we could certainly take requests for future socials, and I do on the site. I say, if you have recommendations, send them in. But yeah, we'll have a request night.
I love it. I think this is a fantastic project, and I wish you nothing but success with this.
Thank you very much.
Here.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Been speaking to Simon Capet. Now, he is the organizer for Classical Socials, which happens Sunday evenings at 8, or is it at 7?
7.
7 now it starts. At Finn McCool's, which is at 181 University Avenue, just a walk from Osgood or St. Andrews subway stations. If you want, you can just drop by and have a drink and listen. If you want to get more information, go to Simon's website, which is simoncapet.com. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.